Hello, friends. What do you consider the most scary thing in the world? I'm not trying to induce fear into this channel, but I am wanting to expose the things that we are not aware of, or not fully aware of, or we should say not enough aware of, that we actually can do something about it. So it's making that unconscious conscious. And it came to me earlier today to talk about what is really the absolutely most scary thing in the world. And before I start talking more about it, I want to just have you turn inside and see what comes up for you. What is the scariest thing? Because we can definitely say there's a lot of scary things going on in the world that seem out of control, that we can't do much about. And then we can just freeze in fear and hope for the best, right? So if you want to, you can also put it in the comments below just to get a nice conversation going and see where it goes. So I will tell you what really is the most scary thing in the world. That is that we believe that we are separate from source, period. That is where all fear comes from. That is where all fear gets fed, gets amplified. Oh, there's a kitty coming here. Do you want to come here? And that is what most of us, we leave. So we leave source, and then we try and create that life on our own, right? And we are basically scared all the time. And there might be a few who are not. I'll give that to you. But generally, there is a deep underlying fear that we have to do something to survive, right? So that is the underlying ground of fear. I'm separate from God. I'm separate from God. I'm separate from the source where all my needs are met continuously, automatically, organically, without me having to leave the source to experience fulfillment. So, right there, here we are fully source. Then we get born. I talked about the Garden of Eden the other day, right? Fully, everything's fulfilled. And then we come here and we leave the Garden of Eden. We leave our fulfillment. It's like we sever that connection mentally. We can't do it spiritually because that's impossible. We can do it mentally or psychically, emotionally, physically. We can pretend that we are disconnected, and now we're out here on our own, trying to make a life, trying to survive. And the only place we can survive or be fully alive is back in the Garden of Eden again, is back before we sever and take off on our own. But this is the place where fear starts because of the belief that we are separate from the divine. And once we have made that choice, taken on that belief that we are separate, that is when fear begins. And it's no wonder, because now we have to do everything we can to supply ourselves with the things that are always naturally supplied when we are in the Garden of Eden, when we are in the field that I so often talk about, when we are in the kingdom, the heaven, the kingdom of heaven, the queendom of heaven. Basically, in the fullness. I also talked about Niagara Falls the other day and Lake Erie above it, right? So it's like, again, we become that drop outside of Niagara Falls. And that's where the fear begins. So I want to just see if I can stress that a little more or emphasize that. That is where fear starts. That is why fear lives in us, runs our lives, makes us do things that we would not do when we are still fully connected and at one with the field, with the divine. What is the answer? What is the solution to end the fear? Is it taking medicine for anxiety? Is it trying to figure out how to survive, to overcome the fear? What is it for you? I'm just thinking, what is it for me? What has it been for me? There's been a frozenness most of my life, probably all my life, as far as I can remember back. And then that frozenness of fear is cutting me off even more from the flow and has made me feel very busy and driven to do something in the world to feel safe and okay and survive. How about you? So we have tried to overcome these fears, and they have most likely not worked because there's only, of course, one solution that will work. There is only one solution to get us out of fear, and that is to go back to the connection, not sever it anymore, not leave it anymore. Go back and stay there and lean into it. It's like lean into that field of oneness, of fulfillment. There's nothing we need to do to get there. There's nothing we need to get rid of or change or fix, except the whole idea that we are separate, separate, and that was one of those programmed lies. And as you know, what comes with that separation is that I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. There's something wrong with me. That's that little drop out here that left Niagara Falls, if you want to go back and watch that video. That's what it feels like. And rightly so, because we can't do anything on our own. We can puff up this sense of separate self, and we can puff it up and make ourselves important and do something to be successful. But that's just a cover on top of that fear that we're separate. Yeah, there really is only one answer. And we have to fully commit to that all the time. I don't know any other answer that's true and real. If you do, feel free to share that. But that's where we need to go, back here and lean back in and simply surrender. Let go of that idea that we are separate. It's just a belief. It's just an idea. It's not true. It's a hypnotic suggestion, as I often use. It's just a suggestion that you're separate. But the fact that we have embraced it and accepted it and believe it, now that has become our experience. And that's why when we are here, that's when we need to do all that work, and all the therapy and all the whatever we do, hoping that that will soothe and calm the fear, or maybe even heal it. But it cannot. It can only heal when the wound is healed at the core, which is where we leave the divine and we pretend and believe and accept that we're separate. So this break that happens here, that is fear. When we do that, and every time we do it, we live in fear. We go like, oh my God, I'm going to need to pay the rent, and how am I going to survive, and what I'm going to do. And we try and figure it out ourselves without the natural fulfillment of Lake Erie and Niagara Falls that I talked about the other day. That is kind of the divine flowing as fulfillment. That's it, guys. That's it. Now you might, of course, ask, well, how do I get back here? That's where we can do a lot of therapy and breath work and whatever it is that we are moved to do. We want to get back here because we want to let go of that grip, of that holding on to being separate. So if therapy and all these other whatever kind of modalities, if they help to soften the grip of survival as a separate sense of self, separate from the divine, if that helps soften it so we come closer and closer to what is true, and you will be able to feel it because there will be a sense of peace. There will be a deep breath. Oh, thank God. Thank God. That feeling, that means you're connected because now you can feel the peace again, the letting go of this brings you back into the peace. And that's why you can take a deep breath and remember what is true. If we could only stay there forever on when that happens, that would be great. And that will be so, hopefully soon. But in the meantime, we have so much invested in this separate sense of self that there is even a resistance to let it go. Not necessarily just out of fear, but out of, an attachment of enjoying it. No, I agree. It feels good to accomplish something on your own. It does feel good. So let's do that, but let's not do it without that connection. We can still really enjoy life here to the fullest, much more so, as long as we stay connected. There is a reason we are here. And maybe that reason is that we can now open up to living in this dimension, but fully connected, not needing to leave it, transcend it, but to fully embody this in this dimension. I have heard somewhere that that is a whole new experience that we are going through as humanity. Again, that's not my own information. But when I heard it, that was like an, oh, yes. And of course, we've never tried it before. So it's not so easy. We're used to maybe transcending it. But now we are asked to fully embody it and be fully one with it. in this expression. So it's a new experiment, if that's true, or yeah, experiment and experience. So let's try that if you want to. But again, all the reasons that we want to hold on to this, most of it is fear. It has to be seen. And when you see that everything here, everything that you're afraid of cannot be resolved out here, a little band-aid is probably working for a little while. But the only solution is to come back. And that's why I so deeply invite you to make this the most important thing in your life. Do whatever you need to do to remember to come back and back and back until it becomes your default mode again. And then you allow yourself to be filled again and fulfilled again from within. And then you start feeling and remembering what's natural, how it's supposed to be, which you know, but now you remember it. And then you feel that deep breath again. It's like, oh, yeah. But then, of course, next morning, then there's all these things coming at you, all these hypnotic suggestions that you have to do this and you have to be afraid of this. And now this is happening in the world. And that's where we need to remember to not go there anymore. And that is the journey we're all on, to keep coming back and keep coming back, not mentally, but as a felt sense. It has a beautiful, expansive emotion that comes with that when you drop in here. When you do that and you feel that, then you know you are connected. It's that simple. If you go like, oh, I wonder if it's this, then it's most likely because you're not feeling or something clicking. Then you know you're still here. So then there might be some other things still here that are pulling you out. And this is where I do suggest to reach out for help because we cannot see our own blind spots and we cannot see the way we sabotage ourselves. We just don't even know we're doing it. It's just this automatic thing. And that is the separate sense of self that does that. That's also how it maintains and sustains itself through fear, sabotaging, lying, pretending, hiding. That's how this part keeps itself alive. But when we go back and rest, then we know that we are naturally maintained and sustained from within as peace, as love, back in the kingdom, fully open again to the field. That's where we can go when we deeply, deeply want it. When we deeply, deeply long for it, then we will make that our priority. All I can do here on my little channel is just share that. And those of you who resonate with that, you will hear it and you will feel it. And you will feel that confirmation of, yes, that is true. And then you will be able to unhook a little more from the fear that has kept pulling you out of this. So that's why it's very important that we have each other as mirrors and reflections of what is true. We also have each other as mirrors and reflections of what is not true, of what the shadow parts, right? That's all this stuff here that has turned away from the light. It's like a shadow. So we can also help each other see that and as an invitation to soften it and ungrip from it. But right now, I just really invite you to check in with yourself. How deeply do you want this? How important is this for you? And what are you willing to do to, to make that be your expression and experience? Because in the end, only you can choose that for yourself. And when you feel that absolute deep commitment, and that's a longing, if you don't feel that longing, like I really, really want this, that's the energy that will get you there. So again, if you need help with that, please reach out, set up a self-discovery session with me so we can find out if I can support you on that journey. Feel free to comment below how this all lands for you. Do you resonate with it? Do you have problems with it? And again, if it resonates, please like and share and subscribe if you want to stay connected with what I share almost daily. It would be lovely. All right, my friends, choose well, choose well.